Alright, back to the floating island escapades. And
Oh, what a
good
beautiful
timing
day
for
to be
this.
captured.
Whee! Like I said, the game offers a couple of context-sensitive places that all 4 players need to join that function as mini checkpoints to see, okay, are all 4 of you ready to get to the next section? It is still, as you can see, relatively linear, but, you know, it's still engaging enough to give enough a variety that, like I said, I get the idea. I probably would have had fun if I played this at the peak of its, popularity.
Like, yeah, I mean, from what I've seen so far, I can get why, if you're expecting your typical Ratchet and Clank venture, this might come as a bit of a bother to you, but I do think that in a vacuum, this is a perfectly fine and adequate game.
Also, another thing that I haven't mentioned, in order to compensate for, the gameplay structure and everything, if you noticed on the top left corner, each character possesses only 4 hit points of nanotech. But trust me, with the way nanotech rates are scattered throughout, you should be easily able to replenish them. Or even so, they still operate on old beat 'em up logic where, when a character fails, usually they respawn in the air the still living ones.
Does the AI ever recover you, or is this a case where you just need to cheese it with 2 controllers?
No, actually, like I said, either the AI just waits until I respawn near to them, in this case Clank, or they actually bother to actually use the vacuums in order to actually, resurrect me. God damn it, Clank, stop being Tails for a second.
So basically, death is relatively easy to overcome in this game.
It's amazing how some things, have not changed since the Genesis Mega Drive era.
Honestly, I can kind of dig that as a little bit of charm.
Anyway, this little fella, the Voltergeist, serves to activate electrical devices, so that's another thing you have to worry about. For the future, puzzles will be tied to the whole thing of one character needs to catch the Voltergeist and put it in the appropriate socket, while the others maybe have to defend, the area or something like that. Last I checked the game, the Gravoids tended to be like giant worms from Tremors.
Now they're ticks.
Ticks that absorbs pieces of land. That's weird. Another thing we didn't mention is that in the previous part, I think, Kronk and Zephyr, since they're basically stuck out there, in order to actually help us, they've literally connected to Wikipedia, the equivalent of that, so they're using the time to monitor our position and actually, give us a rundown on different fauna that we encounter. Again, it's actually pretty neat the way they're integrating into the plot.
I do find it funny that they probably have more character-wise dialogue than the main characters do. Mind you, I know that is probably because they had to record a ton of different dialogue for, like, different combinations, but it does kind of hurt a bit to hear relatively generic dialogue that's just, oh, I've got your back, Ratchet, which, I mean, maybe it's a nitpick, but Clank doesn't feel like the kind of guy who says stuff like, I got your back, bro. Like, I don't know. I feel like he'd say it in a more nerdy or tech science way.
What can you do about it?
Oh, well.
There will still be cutscenes, after the end of each major level that showcases how the team is going, towards their next objective.
Hey, I caught one.
It's like TJ Fixman thinks he's writing for Sonic.
Nice. More ammo.
Okay, from what I can recall, while they did take some aspects of this game in for sequels, I don't think they ever did a game like this since this one.
The closest is full frontal assault slash Q-Force, slash Q-Force, but only on a technicality because it includes the possibility of playing it in co-op. But otherwise, it's a complete different beast.
Remind me, did All for One come with party games?
No, not really.
Huh. That actually surprises me, since some of these sections do feel like blueprints for potential multiplayer games to do packaged in with this game.
If I recall correctly, around that time, PlayStation Move Heroes had been released, which I think is a crossover between Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, and of course Sly. And that one is kind of like a minigame collection more than anything. It uses the PlayStation Move, so...
Like, I'm not disappointed, but I'm surprised because this game feels like it has some layout for some potential multiplayer games. Ergo, in the guise of Crash Bash!
Crashly Bashly, yes.
Yeah, in the guise of Crash Bash, complete with even there being 4 players, and then
God damn it.
having some mini... Dang, Ratchet's depth perception got messed up at some point, I see.
Is that what you get when you get an isometric, you know, fixed camera angle?
I found ammo.
Who knows what 2D characters had to suffer in the great move to 3D?
I've just been checking actually. When did Ian Flynn start writing Sonic? Because that's what his writing style for Ratchet in this game is reminding me of a little bit.
Okay, he started on that.
Early 2006 at least.
Yeah, for the Archie comics.
Yeah. He got better with age.
Well, then she told me that one of the first thing that he did was to basically put on a bench a recurring villain that otherwise would have either been too powerful or being treated as a joke for losing constantly despite his power.
Oh, is that Mammoth Mogul?
Yeah, I think that's him.
Mammoth Mogul, oh yes, one of Ken Pender's babies.
Oh god.
If I recall correctly, okay, I'll admit, even without Penders, Archie Comics did kind of have that issue of, okay, we know Sonic has his arch nemesis Eggman, but we want to do some new and creative things, which wasn't inherently a bad thing, but in cases like Mammoth Mogul, you had some suggestions that, oh no, he's the truest, biggest, baddest person Sonic's ever faced. Who needs old Dr. Eggman as his enemy when we got this much cooler villain and whatnot?
Which from what I understand led to something like 2 separate in-universe reboots. You know, not necessarily, you know, the stuff that happened between Archie and IDW, but more like the universe in story was so fucked up that they had to push the reset button.
Thanks, Dr. Eggman and Dr. Wily.
Yes.
In terms of being creative with stuff, when it comes to dealing with the consequences of Ken Penders, that issue I've heard about involving some guy named Thrash sending the echidnas off was creative.
Basically, the Sonic comics took a bit of a page from DC's books and had basically this event called the Super Genesis Wave, essentially, which, yeah, as you mentioned, happened kind of twice, essentially. One of these would basically be to refine Sonic comics, you know, make them somewhat more in line with the games while still keeping a lot of Archie characters. Another one would be to basically, yeah, kind of have to wipe the slate clean and have certain characters that Penders insisted belong to him not be a factor anymore.
Also, I don't know how many times we have heard it already, but I absolutely love the very stupid yell that Ratchet does every time he gets thrown into one of these, you know, contraptions. Like, yeah!
It's
like,
so corny,
what direction was
adore
given James Arnold Taylor for this? Okay, Jimmy,
I
you know, you have to sound like you accidentally
James,
stabbed your toe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, James, you're falling while also dealing with a badly stubbed toe.
So basically, he fell after stepping on a Lego.
That's very bad.
Oh, but God, can we talk about Clank's? Can we talk about Clank's death scream? Oh God! Like that doesn't sound like he's falling down. That sounds more like he's sick in his stomach.
Okay. David, you're on helium and you've been shot.
Beautiful. Like, I mean... Oh, thanks.
Come on, my village is just ahead.
Let's hope your village doesn't get attacked. We kind of have a problem.
We need to use
Or
the cluster cannon. Goodbye,
yes,
little
you
animal.
absolutely need to fire us out of a cannon. It's not like you have, like, I don't know, a hot air balloon to just take us there gently.
Ah, it's fine.
Hot air balloons are boring.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like... Again, I get that this is probably a much different beast for the whole team, so I'm guessing that's why the voice direction is also a bit weird, because a lot of these quotes kind of have to be for more generic situations, whereas previously Ratchet and Clank was, you know, very... Well, okay, this is still linear, but, like, it was a lot more, say, just focused on one player character per time or whatnot.
And checkpoint. Yeah, basically just speeding up by this point the end of result screen. There you go.
Remind me, Tio, did you mention that this game was also kind of rushed for its release date as well?
That would be the next one. This one, okay, I don't know if it was rushed, but I can tell you that the final product feels lengthy and with enough content. If there was something that was scrapped away, it's not super noticeable. But I can tell you that Full Frontal Assault / Q-Force absolutely is.
Got it.
Okay.
Isn't it kind of inconvenient that your village literally has floating islands where you can fall to your death just by accidentally taking the trash out too far?
They're fine. They know what to do.
Don't worry about it.
According to the database, these creatures
Yeah, most of the Tharpods, as Zephyr tells us, are voiced by Richard Stephen Horowitz.
Of course.
Alpha.
AKA Billy,
Alpha
AKA
5,
the protagonist.
I was going to say Invader Zim, but sure.
Yes, that one too.
Alright, new weapon. Specifically, now it's time where you get the weapon specific for the character. Ratchet gets his decoy, the doppelbanger as it's called. You manage to upgrade it to the max, it also starts shooting.
What a very specific advert aimed at the one Wombax left.
As mentioned in the previous, games, the Grummels seem to, be very, enticed in giving very specific Lombax-related weapons, so not to tell you. I might as well use this point to mention about the other characters. Clank gets the Zoni Blaster, which is a gun that doesn't deal a lot of damage, but as you can imagine, freezes the most enemies in place. So it's a good utility tool for slowing down a foe while the others pepper it down. Quark gets a shield generator. It's very lame. And to spoiling, his advert video is a parody of the Kennedy assassination, where instead Quark uses the shield to get to safety. Good God.
Okay.
And Nefarious gets a temporary invisibility power-up to sneak behind an enemy for an insta-kill. It's very useless.
Like, I feel like Nefarious should have something that's more so emphasizing destruction.
Like a death ray or something. Come the fuck on.
Like, yeah, okay. It's weird decision choices that, admittedly, are in the background, but I still do question if the game was a bit rushed.
It really screams to me instead when Insomniac did not want to have Dr. Nefarious playable. That's simply that.
Which, to be fair, as you've mentioned, a lot of this game is fueled by executive mandates, so it could have been they were dragging their feet on this stuff.
And yeah, like we said, there are 42 hero balls for each character. That's basically 128, so yeah, no, I'm not gonna collect them all, sorry. Go on.
I'd say, ideally, hopefully, Insomniac didn't at least have bad feelings about having to
Oh,
continue the
goddammit,
Ratchet series. Oh, dang it. What were you trained for?
We must save Susie from the Gravoids.
You don't say, Clank.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, that means we need to move forward. Go on.
It's weird. Like, yes, I know Clank is supposed to sound monotone, but I don't know. Something about his quotes in this game feel just a bit generic, even though he is a robot, so...
Also, ignore me. I
irony?
completely did not notice the triangle prompt that I could use to get to the landing zone
I'm
that
guessing
Susie
you
was
were
supposed to use. It was just an option that gave me that could have given me extra balls. That's it.
You know, I can't blame you for wanting to check that out instinctually and whatnot, you know.
No, I
collect the
wanted,
fun.
but I did not notice that. That's literally on me. So... Ow.
But yeah, like, again, from what I can gather, ideally it doesn't seem like they had, you know, any hard feelings about having to continue the franchise. They might have had harder feelings about some of the other executive mandates, though.
Yeah, seems to be. I can tell you that TJ Fixman did not seem to have any particular problems in writing, you know, for this, because like I said, the only real bad part, if I had to say, is the subplot of Ratchet and Clank wanting to retire, because I think by the end of this level you will get a cutscene where at least Ratchet feels very, very out of character, but you'll be able to judge by that point. But other than that, as a, you know, story set after A Crack in Time, this is just perfectly fine, you know, as an episode of the week type of deal. And it's not like this game is forgotten, it actually is referenced properly into the Nexus.
I don't think they really had too much of a reason to really forget it. Like, I know fans don't care for it as much, but I guess it's not like, you know, it wasn't like an unforgivable curse on the franchise that dare not be referenced.
No.
Like,
Honestly,
I honestly
again,
think
the only two games that have not been referenced are the ones that Insomniac did not work on, so the two PSP spin-offs. So, outside of those official statements that we did mention, no, they haven't really been, you know, acknowledged.
and hey, you know, I guess to their credit, they were technically good sports about them. Like, look, the PSP spin-offs aren't the worst. Except they are kind of the weak links, I would say, if I really did have to talk about a weak link we've had so far. And mind you, so many franchises would kill to have a quote-unquote weak link that's as good as those two.
Alright,
but you can tell why they pale in comparison.
Time for a new gadget, the Globlobber. Okay, it basically spouts out, you know, creatures made of gel that weight down a floating object. This will actually be very useful, you know, throughout the entire game as well.
Hey, settle down, guys. Splatoon isn't out yet.
I don't think it's more about painting the enemy or something, but sure. Honestly,
I mean, one of the weapons in Splatoon basically works like that.
When it comes to... Jesus Christ, those creatures clearly are in pain. When it comes to the gadgets, a couple of them unfortunately are very situational, but most of them actually are not, you know, and are instead used throughout the entire game, so you don't really feel like you're missing out. It's just that unfortunately one or two of them really do instead, you know, feel like why did they even bother to actually have it. Oops. Yeah,
that's how you actually lose a life, when both of you are basically
classic
dead for
beat 'em
long
up
enough.
logic.
Okay, Clank, come on. All you had to do was move forward that time.
All you had to do was follow the damn train, Clank.
Hop in. Go ahead, Ratchet.
You know, an open world, or I guess open
quiet,
galaxy... An open world or open galaxy version of Ratchet and Clank. Now, wouldn't that be something?
I don't know. It's a genre that fits better with the Jack and Daxter. Again, the second game had you know, the whole tonal shift kind of problem, but other than that, the sandbox area really worked out for the franchise. So I think it fits more than that. While this, again, Ratchet and Clank always fitted more as the spiritual successor to Spyro, so small environments intersperse in a bigger context.
Kind of ironic, but you do have a point. Despite it being the one that literally is all about exploring outer space, yeah, Ratchet and Clank does work more in a linear sort of format.
That's probably what Insomniac is, you know, best at, you know. Like, yeah, sure, the Spider-Man games, you know, presented a big change by having instead the whole, you know, sandbox a la Arkham games, because of course they kinda had to, you know. Oh, that's the balloon. But otherwise, Insomniac worked better with the whole, you know, short burst kind of deal. Even the Resistance games did that. Oh, here's the thing. Since this is an early 2010 game, we're still operating on the whole, the character is suddenly in a circumscripted arena and has to kill all enemies in it. Like, you know it because the early God of War games did that, a lot of other beat-em ups did that, and even the Crash of the Titans games did that.
Yeah.
At the very least, this is a bit more graceful with the whole tripod literally creating a dome around you, instead of just having the entrance to the next area being blocked by a beam of energy with the face of a villain to it.
That's the thing. We haven't truly met the villain yet, have we?
No, not really. Well, we do seem to know that whatever is the ship that kidnapped us, whoever is controlling it clearly is doing something to the land, but we don't know actually who is piloting it or, you know, who is in charge, basically. The villain of this game is a bit peculiar, you'll be able to see. I don't think it's outright bad, but again, it will be up to you to judge. It's definitely a bit unconventional compared to the previous games.
Ignoring the fact that, yeah, Nefarious has kind of been the leading force of bad in the last few games, I think I do get what you mean in, like, well, there is at least some format we can come to expect from Ratchet and Clank adversaries, that this one, I guess, will buck the trend.
Again, might as well use this time to recap. You know, Chairman Drac was your typical capitalist mogul who wanted to take advantage of other planets in order to just build the one for his species, but that was mostly a ruse just to get more, you know, more balls. The second game had Quark just trying to upstage it itself just for the sake of getting, you know, more recognition in a different galaxy. The third one had a more straightforward thing with the Nefarious wanting to roboticize everyone. Deadlock had the Gleam and Vox with, you know, his own shtick about wanting to, you know, raise the market share of, you know, his network.
Said it before and I'll say it again, he was basically a poor man's Chairman Drek when you get down to it.
Taking outside of the spin-off games, we had also, in Tools of Destruction, we had Emperor Percival Tachyon, which, you know, was more straightforward tyrant, but had a more personal grudge against, you know, the Lombaxes. And then in A Crank in Time, well, okay, also, silly me, how could I forget Quest for Booty?
The most important game of all time to you.
We had the Darkwater Captain's Leg Gestalt, who just wanted to be a pirate, please clap. And then in A Crack in Time we had a combination of Nefarious wanting, you know, a straightforward villain wants to reset, have control over time, and the not twist villain, but, you know, misunderstanding with Alistair Asimov at the end. So this, what you're gonna see in this game is gonna be a bit different from all of that.
I will say, the overall vibe I've gotten from this game is that I do get a feeling like there would totally be a tagline for this commercial going, "This ain't your granddaddy's Ratchet and Clank," since, yeah, pretty much from the word go, this game has bucked a lot of trends.
I don't remember about the advertisement, admittedly. Also, in case you're wondering about, it's true that this was 2011, so we were kinda are starting to be already out of that, but also discontinue the tradition of trying to break the mold of shooters of the time by having different varied locales. This first initial area with the floating rocks tends to be a bit more on the brown side, unfortunately, but already the first level in Luminopolis was relatively different, and as you will see in later levels, the color palette, you know, really changes for the sake of giving variety. So at the very least, the game is committed to not be a mess of, you know, greens and browns and all arounds. So I appreciate
Also,
that for it.
Also, see, players, it's still a platformer because we had literally a 2D platforming
I
section
mean,
right
as
there.
to quote the philosopher Babsy the Bobcat, what would a platformer be without platforms?
The world may never know.
A game even more empty than it is.
You know, so I've heard that apparently the collection makes Bubsy 3D playable.
Well, kinda,
bearable,
sorta. Like I
somewhere.
said, it only gives analog control to the movement, which is an objective improvement, but that doesn't really magically fix the stuff like the camera or the hit
Well,
detection.
it's also in widescreen.
Like,
Again,
I mean, yes.
please clap.
Like, yes, I'm happy that Bubsy might finally be getting a good game, but
Like, I will take that over doing nothing, of course, Jesus Christ. I'll take that over doing nothing about it, that's for sure. But at its core, fundamentally, Bubsy 3D is a game that probably you shouldn't charge money for it this day and age, if you ask me.
yeah, it's like, I'm like, guys, was the improvement actually that good, or are you just amazed you're able
Then
to
again,
play that game without an
Okay,
aneurysm now?
the current owner of VIP is Atari, the ex-Infogrames, obviously. But we do know that the idea was given to them by, of course, limited run games. So you probably need to blame them for that. These are the same kind of people that basically made you charge for Plumbers Don't Wear Ties. And again, I'm still convinced at one point they will pull the same trick with the town with no name. Mark my words, it will happen.
Don't even
that-
get
yeah,
me
it
started
is-
on how much they tried to charge for Shantae Risky Revolution. Like, no, you're just better getting that off of Steam or emulating it or whatever gaming online store you can get. That physical release is not worth the price, sadly.
And it's interesting as well because in terms of reviews for the Perfect Collection, critics did give praise to the emulation quality and the special features, but the main problem were the games themselves.
What? You mean to tell me that the Bubsy games might not be good?
Shocked I am, clearly.
I mean, what next? Are we gonna get are we gonna get a Sonic Dark Ages collection with Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic 06, and what was another really bad Sonic game you could put in with them?
Sonic and the Dark Chronicles.
Sonic Chronicles,
The
Dark
Dark
Brotherhood.
The Dark Brotherhood, re-release it, fix everything around it, but keep the games themselves control-wise the same.
You know, here's the problem I always have when people act like, oh, Bubsy's comparable to Sonic. Like, they act like, oh, well, you see, just like Sonic, Bubsy also has games that people like to meme on for being bad. Okay, here's the difference, though.
Obviously,
Bubsy
has nothing but those.
Yeah, and, like, it's to the point where that's basically his shtick, essentially. Like, yes, it's nice he might finally get a good game, but let's not pretend that he ever had a good game to begin with, essentially.
Alright, here's where the bosses start to become a bit more tricky, because they do demand that you spread out with your bodies, you know, to take care of different problems. The Octomoth is dedicated to making the platform that you're collapsing piece by piece, so you need to kill the tentacles until it stuns him enough for you to actually you know, lower the health bar. You may have noticed also that the creature was carried on by a character called Commander Sprog. We will actually meet him later, and the character will acknowledge that. The character is voiced by Jim Ward as well, although he sounds a bit like Clancy Brown. We'll be able to hear him more in a later stage.
Jim Moore doing a Clancy Brown impression.
Wrap your head around that.
Okay. Yeah, it's like, I mean, in that case, why not get Clancy Brown? He's still good for games.
Saving costs.
Probably he's much more expensive than he was in the Crash Bandicoot
And we already
days.
had, you know, Jim Ward as well for Captain Quark, so... Hey, good to know, Susie managed to, you know, free herself.
That was so cool.
God damn it, child.
That was amazing. Thanks. Come on, this way, Mr. Lombax.
Bit of a diversion, but okay. And then she gets kidnapped by an even bigger bird.
Thankfully, no.
Hey, I caught one.
Like, is this what you guys have to deal with on your way to work? Where are we? Australia, where everything wants to kill you?
I mean, kinda, sorta. We'll be able to hear more about, but the entire purpose of the sphere that captured us is to collect and catalog dangerous species throughout the entire galaxy. For what purpose, we will have to learn later, but... And there you go, we're back at the village. And since now we have the extra gadget, we can now use the contraption that I was not able to use before.
You have any food?
I mean, like what that Perfect Collection did here, it tries to fix at least one thing that was really wrong with them. You'll probably do the same for that hypothetical Sonic Dark Ages collection. Like for 06, it would fix the glitches. For Sonic Chronicles, it would make the music listenable, and for Shadow, it would make, well, Shadow not being on an ice rink, or make the music memorable. Either way.
After this checkpoint stage, we're getting the cutscene.
Alright then. Well done, Ratchet. You're in the lead against no one else.
Maybe he's in competition with himself.
You're your own true worst enemy.
We call it Ephemeris, the creature collector. Oh, it's been around for over 100 years, snatching the universe's most dangerous beasts and bringing them here, to our planet.
Who is in control of the machine?
No one knows. But that tyrant you saw in our village was its emissary, Commander Spock. He has been protecting Ephemeris for years.
That's weird, because Susie seems to...
Visit Spock for a second there.
It's weird, you said no one knows, but Susie seems to at least know that it's a she.
Well, that was the announcer inside. Also this...
I sneezed in my mask.
Ew.
Kid, I'd love to help you and your dad, but my pal and I
really don't understand this.
Crap.
Because again, yes, the comic had given a hint of that, but Ratchet is the kind of guy that when thrown into a situation, even Clank would fix that and then move on. I mean, while you're at it, and spoiler alert, that's kind of what happens after this bonfire. We're like, yeah, why not, we'll still help you. So this is kind of
What
pointless
was even the
and
point?
paints Ratchet is kind of a dickish way, and not even in a say of throwback. Thank you, Quark. Not even in a case of throwback to the first game, because it's clearly not angered or anything. But it's just like he gives up on life,
I guess parades and groupies
motherfucker.
just aren't everyone's thing.
Wait a minute. Both of those are my things. Wait up!
Wonderful diplomacy there, Ratchet.
Yeah, with
And I guess Nefarious just joins because he's scared of the bird?
Yeah. Next up, in the next part, we will actually delve deep into the forest and fight the local wildlife. See you for that.
See ya.
Yeah.